This session is going to be on networking. By the way, if you want to meet more people, pick up the wrong golf ball next time you're out there playing. Good way, isn't it? Good way to get started. So that first bit was really around high-performing teams with the main focus on you as the leader being a really good coach. ABC, always be coaching, develop your coaching skills. This session, networking. I want to make it as interactive as possible, so I'm happy to, I've got some slides, I'm happy to take your comments, your questions. It's a little bit of an intangible networking. It's kind of hard to measure some of the things that we look at, but I'll share with you different things that I've noticed over the years. As someone who's built his own business, I've had my own business for 11 and a half years. Most of it's been built on networking, building up contacts, staying in touch with those contacts. So I'll share with you a few different ideas from my own experience, but I'd love you to share your ideas as well as we work through it. So if you've got questions or comments, please feel free to jump into it. I thought just to start off with, because we've eaten a bit of food today, can I ask you all just to stand up for a moment? Quick activity. And what I'd like you to do is, we're talking about networking, rather than talk about it, let's do it. I'd like you to find two other people that you don't know particularly well. I know a lot of you do know a lot of people, but two people that you don't know that well. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes as a group of 3 to find 3 things that you all have in common. And you can't say, I'm at a golf conference in the Yarra Valley as one of them. So off you go, 3 minutes, 2 minutes as a group of 3, find another couple of people that you don't know, and off you go. Come on in a bit, bring your groups in. I'm going to call you in, stay on your feet, but Barbara, come on in a bit, come on in guys. Stay on your feet, come on in though. Come on in, yeah, come on down, come on. Richard, yeah, come on. Is it Richard, is that right? Yeah, bring him in. Okay, I'll just get you to pause. Stuart, Ross, can I get you just to pause for 1 moment? Ben, can I get you to pause there? You guys are very good at that activity. There you go, even without a cold beer or a glass of wine. Did you find, so as a group of 3 here, so Peter, who you got here? John and Cameron. Did you find 3 things?
We did.
Do you want to share with us what they were, Peter?
We're all married.
Okay.
We are all not good at golf.
Okay.
And none of our AFL teams won the grand final.
Okay, interesting. They've gone the negatives. Did you notice that? Quite a negative group, I think. Okay, so yeah. Oh, yeah. So, you didn't say happily married. Didn't say happily. See, I've been happily married for 16 years. I've been married for 21, but happily for 16 of them. But okay, so 3 there. Barbara, where were you? Is Barbara in here? Or, oh, yeah, sorry, Barbara. Who were you with? 2 of you. There you go. That's how rumours start. But I'm going to stay out of that. So, go on. What did you have? What did you?
Well, we both work in the golf industry.
That was hard to uncover, wasn't it? Genius. This is layered. Yeah.
I'm from Gippsland and he works in Gippsland.
Oh,
like Italian food as well.
Yeah.
But, okay, so yeah, all right, that's pretty good. So you've got the geographic stuff, you've got a shared, same types of food. What about up the back? Sorry, what's your name? Peter, who were you chatting with?
Chatting with Rachel and Alex.
How'd you go?
Well, we kind of focused really on Alex because Alex is very new. He's just come over from the States, from South Carolina. And one thing that we have in common that I spent some time in America playing football over in North Carolina, South Carolina. So, but we focused more on what Alex was doing, being new and bringing his wife over and coming over on a 4-year visa. So, and we all know about Rachel.
All right, bring it on. Let's hear all about Rachel. Yeah. Okay. So did you get Did you get some stuff in common with the 3 of you?
No, as I said, we just focused.
just got distracted. Yeah.
Well, see, that was more about engaging with Alex and bringing him into the family. So it wasn't about us, it was all about Alex and this occasion. So it wasn't about preparing anything that we knew about each other.
Very good. Okay, there's another program I'm going to run with you another day. That's okay. Anyway, I'll take one other group. What about the boys here? So
we're another bad example.
Okay, what happened here?
We had one thing in common, but we like football.
Okay, advanced networkers as well. So look, that was just a very small activity. I guess what we're looking at there, it's a very simple thing in networking. It's a concept of rapport, isn't it? Like, I don't know if you've noticed, there are some people you just click with. It's not even hard, it just happens. And when you think about it, they're often similar to you. Similar age, similar interests, similar background. That's kind of the easy part of networking. I think the harder part is how do you build rapport and connect with people who aren't quite like you. So that's one of the first things when we look at networking today. We're going to look at some of the key skills, some of the little things that matter. We're going to look at events and we're going to look at staying in touch with people. But I think one of the skills is how do you connect with people who aren't quite like you. In that activity, what did you have to do to try and find things in common? What were a couple of skills you had to use? You had to ask questions and maybe share a bit of yourself, put an example out there. Anything else? What do you do after you ask the question? Listen. Could be a good listener. You want to be a good networker, be a good listener. Sometimes observation can help as well. You might notice someone has a crest on their shirt from Pebble Beach. So you might just say, oh, Pebble Beach. Richard, are you a member there? Have you played there? Or, like it might just get a conversation going. So observation can help a lot. So I found normally with rapport, asking good questions, listening, observing, sharing a bit of yourself is a really, really good way to start. When the other person's talking, what's a pretty simple thing to do, but a good thing to do? Yeah, just do a few head nods and try to have open gestures. Rather than be closed, try to have relatively open gestures. I'll keep you on your feet for a moment. Find another couple of people, and I'd like you as a group of 3 or 4 to come up with 6 things you'd see in a really good networker. If you went, wow, he's really good at networking, if you had to list 6 traits you'd see in a good networker, what do you think they'd be? So another couple of people, don't stay in the same group. You can do it on your feet. One of you scribble them down. I'll give you 2 minutes. 6 things you'd see in a good networker. Okay, can I bring you in a little bit again? That'd be good. So we're doing the family feud. And I put 7 up there, I only asked you for 6. It's funny. It's subliminal. I might go on Family Feud next year. I'm going to apply with because I was just in Brisbane last week with my brother-in-law and his wife and their 2 kids. My brother-in-law wouldn't go in, but his wife's very keen, and she was talking about Family Feud. She said, would you be interested in going? And I said, well, it's funny, I use a few slides with Family Feud, so it might be one of these things that, so if they end up on Family Feud next year, you could go, I remember that guy was, we surveyed 100 people and came up with their top 7 answers. You've got to know a lot of shit, haven't you, in that show? I don't know. Name something you do at the beach. So what do you think, networking? A lot of your game is about networking, isn't it? The more I think about it. And in fact, when I was playing golf with Paul Hinton, so Paul I got to know, I met him at your conference last year. Was it the GMA last year? And we sort of got on quite well. Similar ages of kids, and mine are a little bit older, both like a bit of golf, both lived in the UK. We just sort of had a bit of a connection. I did some work with Paul this year at Royal Sydney, and I was just chatting about a few things. We were talking, I said, I'm doing this session with GMV in a few weeks' time in Victoria. I said, have you got any tips? He said, yes, certainly. He said, dumb it down for those guys. He did. He said, keep it like really low. If Tanner's there, it's got to be like, yeah. But no, he made a cut. Look, he said, look, it's common sense, and you're probably aware of it. He said a few years ago he went on a trip to the States, and he said, you've really got to reach out and contact lots of different people and say, I'm interested in coming and have a look at looking at your club, finding out more about what you're doing. And by doing that, it's helping Paul with his network. Obviously, that's helping his members, because you can imagine some of the members he has at Royal Sydney. If they're in San Francisco, they want to play at the San Francisco Golf Club, which Paul was telling me is probably the hardest club in the world to get on. I don't know, has anyone ever played there or got on there? He said they don't even, it's one of those clubs, he said they barely have a website, and he wanted to contact the GM there to organise a game for one of his members. And he's looking for the GM's contact details and email address. Nothing. He's had to write a handwritten letter and send it to the club. It's that exclusive. So probably come back via C-mail in about 4 months with a reply. But his comment really, you as a GM have got to reach out, be courageous, contact other clubs, whether it's in England, Ireland, Scotland, the States. Go on your trips, report back to your board on what you found out there, but build your networks and obviously invite people to come and experience your facilities and your club. Your industry on the whole is very good at networking. What do we got? If I've got 7 up there, you give me 7 traits. Who wants to open the bit? Matthew from Q, do you want to kick us off with something you'd see? Confidence. You'd have to be confident. If you were shy, do you think it would be hard to be a good networker? Yep. Who thinks it would be if you're shy? Yeah, I think it would be. Yeah, it would be hard, but you could still be good at it because you can have a plan and follow a plan, and there's a process. What about up the back? Anyone up? Maybe I haven't heard from. Any of the guys there? Be quite engaging. It's not a bad trait. What about? Is it Alex? From the what's that new from Cathedral in South Carolina or North Carolina?
Well, I moved from South Carolina. The club is here in Thornton, but we talked about being inclusive. So if there's more than a couple people as part of the conversation, keeping everyone in the conversation. So being inclusive.
Keeping people. How good's the accent, by the way? Are you married? That's not a proposition, but no. You'd kill it on the circuit in Australia because you've just got a massive. They all sound like actors. Have you noticed that, Americans? Something about your country, like even if there's an accident and they interview a bystander on the side of the road, you notice how well they present. They go, "It was amazing! Like we saw this massive flame," and you think they're all actors. It's just on the side of the street.
We feel the same way about you all.
Oh, really? Thank you. So confident, engaging, inclusive. What about a spokesman from this group? Greg, do you want to?
Oh, we said they're probably got a great smile. They make people laugh.
Smile.
Just watching Alex here, for example.
He made us laugh.
Yeah. And
Okay.
he became that. Therefore, it made him engaging and that smile, and we're now drawn to Alex.
I like it. So that's a bit around their persona, quite charismatic. Anything else? Anything here in the middle, guys? Anyone want to share with me?
Adaptable, so they adapt to the crowd.
Very good. Adapt their style depending on the crowd they're with. I like that. And any final thought up the back there? You want to?
Oh, I just walked in late.
Just walked in late. Oh, now where's your homework? Where's your homework? Oh, the dog ate it. Oh, don't look at me.
They're good at appearing interested.
Reef, can you say that again, Stuart? It's very interesting the words you use.
People that are good at networkers are good at appearing interested.
Appearing. There's always a bit of gold at every conference, but that's everyone chatting with Stuart tonight goes, he pretending to be interested in me? He's sort of nodding his head, he's smiling, but I think he's faking that. I don't actually think he's... oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah. It's very good. Appearing interested. I like that. Any final thought? Sorry, Anthony, do you have...
Remembering names. Andrew came up with that
Andrew?
one.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Remembering names, appearing interested, adaptable, smile, be charismatic, inclusive, engaging, confident. Anything else you'd notice? It's a pretty good list.
We had to ending the conversation quickly.
Like this one. Yeah. Thanks, it's been great. Is that what you're saying, or what getting out of?
Yeah, if you're networking in a group like this and you stick with one person for a prolonged period, then you're going to cut down your chance of networking with others.
It's a good point, isn't it? It's an interesting one. Getting out of conversation. There's one skill to get into them, but there's another skill to get out of them. And I would imagine for you guys as GMs, you've got to be good at getting out of them, haven't you? Otherwise, before you know it, they're coming up going, well, what about that 16th green? And when are, like...
When it ever comes to speak to you, word up on the staff, tell them there's an emergency. Somebody come and tell you there's an emergency happening.
Oh, that's it. You guys have got some good tactics. Yeah. That's a good list. That's a pretty good list. Look, the ones I had up here, like I reckon there's a couple of things for you to think about. Now, again, John's got these slides. I think networkers who are successful do have a plan. Now, it's quite interesting, but they think about which events are they going to go to. These days, they've got a plan for social media. Are they on LinkedIn? Do they post updates from time to time? In my business, we do a newsletter every couple of months. We've got a plan for staying in touch with people, which I think is very important. It's something for you to think about, especially if you are more from that accounting side, analytical. Having a plan could really help you because then you can measure it. Like even if you just say, these are the events that I'm going to go to, it can be very, very useful. Great networkers, I found over the years, they always focus on giving first. And it's kind of obvious, but if you want to get something, think what can you offer in return? And that's the great thing about inviting people to your club, to experience your facilities. If you go on a tour, make sure that every chance you get, what can you provide? I think that it's so important. The law of giving is critical. I found over the years, I'm lucky, I've got 3 beautiful children. They've all played sport. I like sport. I played sport in a former life. I'm happy to coach their teams. The kids are the least of the worries. It's the parents that drive you nuts, but that's another story. But I don't mind giving up my time because I want to do it. And you, again, talk to Anthony or anyone who's coached junior teams, you get a lot back from doing that. But if you just get a bit involved with your kids and their schools and their sports, you'll get a lot back in return, commercially as well as emotionally. Yeah, good at remembering names or little things about people. My tip here, I mean, it's great if, well, I'll show you a couple of things on remembering names in a moment, but if you can remember little things, what I've found over the years is that everyone's got something. You know, it could be they play the electric guitar. Maybe their daughter's an elite gymnast. It might be they're into long distance running. Maybe they're a car person. I reckon everyone's got something. Now, some of you will have thousands of members. You can't necessarily remember everything about everyone, but I reckon for the majority of them, you should be able to remember what is the little thing with that person. Some of your older members, it'll be their hip. They've had an operation or they're getting their knees. Don't you have some like that? And if you can just remember those little things, it can make a big difference. Some of them are always buying gear. You just walk past, you go, how's the new putter? You haven't known that they've bought a putter, but you just know from experience that the chances are 3 months ago they bought another one. So those little comments can help a lot. Just little things, remembering little details, staying in touch. I'll give you a few ideas on that at the end. And these two go hand in hand, but I don't think you can be a good networker if you don't ask questions and you don't listen. You got no chance. And you can plan the questions a little bit. You can actually come up with questions that you can ask that ideally will get the other party speaking. So they'd be some of the traits you'd observe in a great networker. Grab yourself a seat for a moment. I had you up on your feet there for a minute or two. That word is probably the word that sticks with me the most. I think it takes a bit of courage. You've got to, if you want to be a good networker, it takes a bit of courage. You've got to be willing to reach out. And I put the all brand up there as well because you've got to be regular. You've got to do it all the time. It's a bit cryptic, but networking is not something you do in isolation. You can't go, well, I did my networking 4 months ago. And especially now with the social media, I'd say keep chipping away. Do things on a regular basis. You might find 15 minutes 3 or 4 times a week is just a way of being involved in the conversation, keeping your name out there, being a thought leader in your community. Lots of little things will add up over a period of time. So yeah, you should, I think, be going to events or hosting events. I would have thought every month or every couple of months there should be things I'd imagine you would be involved in. So that's that regularity. If you want to be a good networker, make sure you're doing things on a fairly regular basis. Now, I mentioned that I'd give you a couple of ideas on remembering names. I'll give you a few tips, but let's have a quick discussion about it to start off with. Before I show you, Ray, what do you think helps when it comes to remember? Anyone here good at remembering names? Anyone find that they're not too bad at it, or depends what day it is? Richard, not too bad? Not too bad. Have you got any tips that you want to share when it comes to?
Just saying their name when they tell you their name. So, you know, if they say g'day on.
Look at the name tag. Let's get the Rachel. Hold it up. Yeah. It's Rachel. Go on. Yeah.
That was just for the camera.
It was good. It worked well.
That was just, yeah, I mean, to say, okay, Rachel, how you going? So what's it working, Rachel?
So what you've already touched on is the R in rail. If you want to write it down, that's repetition. So when they say their name, repeating their name is a good technique. I reckon one of the things that helps a lot is mindset. You've got to say, I'm not bad at remembering names, or I'm working on remembering names. If you say, I'm shit house at remembering names, that's not going to help you. Do you see? You actually have to use a bit of the pop psychology. You've got to, because it is important, isn't it? So if you can say, this is something I'm working on or I'm getting better at it. So repetition, there's a good tip. What else? Anyone got anything else that they use with their members or at events or?
Associate their name with something?
Association. Well, there's the A in rail, association. So try and associate their name. That's Greg Chappell, isn't it? Okay, Greg, what would be an association that you use?
My son's girlfriend is Kirsty, and one of the challenges with people with Kirstys and Christies. So it's Thirsty Kirsty. And even my mother, who's half demented, remembers my son's girlfriend's name because she's Thirsty
Kirsty. Does she like a drink?
We don't know.
You're not sure yet. But that's good. So you use an association there. Kirsty, thirsty, Kirsty. Association can work pretty well, can't it? Anyone else got any examples of that where they use an association to remember? Does anyone ever do that where they let's say they meet someone called Mark, they think of another Mark that they know that reminds them? Does anyone do that? Where they associate another person with the same name, which you can do. That can work quite well. I've got a good friend called Richard. You remind me a little bit of him. So when I look at you, if I think of him, I can just see. No. Yeah. Anyone else got anything before I give you the I and the L in rail? So we've got repetition, we've got association. Anyone, any other tips? I is imagination. It's not a bad technique. When you're meeting someone, you use your imagination. The more creative you get, it seems the more likely it is you'll remember their name. I remember many years ago, we used to live in Byng Street in Maroubra in Sydney, and I'd walk past a lady's house many, many times, but I'd never introduced myself to her, so we'd sort of waved, but we'd never formally introduced ourselves. I walked past one day, I said, I should introduce myself. My name is Steve. She said, hi, my name's Annette. Now, when she said Annette, I just imagined like a big soccer net over her. I could see a soccer net on top of her. And for the rest of my life, I remembered Annette's name because it was just my imagination kicked into gear. So sometimes just being a bit creative can help you to remember somebody's name, imagination. You might, what would be another one? You might meet a guy, let's say his name is Tony Brown, and he might be wearing a brown shirt. It's not that hard, is it? You can use association there. The problem will be is next time you meet Tony, if he's not wearing the brown shirt, then you're in a bit of trouble. So we've got repetition, association, imagination, and L is, this is good at events, it's location. So you work out where people are sitting, and then you remember, okay, so we've got John there, we've got Di, we've got Greg, we've got Ben, and we've got Simon. So then when you're out on a break or something, you go, okay, so it was Simon, then it was Ben, then it was Greg, then it was Di, then it was John. So you're remembering based on, then the hard part is you come back, they've all swapped seats. Then you're in a lot of trouble. But that's a little model. Repetition, association, imagination, location. You wouldn't use all of them. What I think happens, I'll need a volunteer for this. John, are you happy to be a volunteer? Give John a round of applause. I think this happens a lot at events. I mean, it's handy if I don't have a name tag on, okay? It's handy if people have a name tag. But often when you meet someone, I go, hi, I'm Steve. What's your name?
John.
John. What happens is we're not concentrating enough on their name. Are you with me? We're thinking about other things. Go on. What else are we thinking about? Probably about 5 things. What else could we be thinking about? What am I going to ask him? Do I know him? Maybe I should go and chat with Christian instead of John. Like our mind can be elsewhere, can't it? So if you can, when you meet them, really try and be in the moment. I reckon you've got to switch on a bit. What did you say before, Stuart, about pretend to be interested? Like, you have to actually...
Yeah, this actually sounds quite bad.
Could be the quote of the conference. So as I meet you, I used to watch Get Smart. I don't know if you remember it with Maxwell Smart in '99 and the Chief. You remember the cone of silence? It used to come down from the ceiling. And it was, some of you are the wrong generation, but it's like a dome that goes over the two of you. So as I meet you, I really want to get in a bubble with you, and I should really concentrate on John. And I should listen closely to him. So I'll sort of do a slow motion. I go, hi, I'm Steve.
G'day, Steve. I'm John.
John, nice to meet you, John. So I've said his name already 2 or 3 times. Then what I can do, because I can see your name tag, I might say, I notice it's John, Jon, not John. Is that John short for Jonathan, or? Absolutely. Okay, how many times have I just said it? 5, 6, see what's going on. I'm not saying you have to do this all the time. And then another tactic is I might say, John, I don't know if you've met my friend from Tasmania, Di, this is John. That's about 10, you with me there? Now, depending on what happens, we might chat for a while, but by a lot of repetition and some concentration then, there's a good chance it'll go into my short-term memory. Not necessarily long-term, but it can go into my short-term memory. From my own experience, if I try to do that with too many people at an event, it'll go haywire. There's a limit for me as to how many I can do that with. But I think being in the moment, a little bit of repetition, and then possibly introducing them to someone else can help. And don't be afraid to comment on the name. If it's a name that maybe, like John, Jon is a slightly different name to John. John, thanks for coming down. Let's give him a little clap. So that's one skill that hopefully as, in the networking space will help you. You could look at the timesheet, couldn't you? You guys as GMs, doesn't that help? And then you know who's coming in tomorrow, so you know when you're going to do that. Hide, so they can't see you. You know when you're going to pop up. It's very, isn't it powerful when you come out into the lounge and you go, oh, good to see you again, John. And now you're playing with Di today, aren't you? Is that right? All of that just helps layer relationships. There's only little things. These are little things, but little things end up meaning a lot. So keeping, who does that? Study the sheet a little bit or keep an eye on the sheet. Quite useful. Just a quick look and then work out, get out and about, get off your ass. I think I spoke about that last year when I did the conference, GOYA, get off your ass. You can always be at your desk doing another email, reading another document, talking to council. There's always stuff, but I think a big part of your role needs to be out and about, doesn't it? At the right time, in the right place. And if they do bail you up, because they will, you can always say, you know, when they come up to you and they want to complain about something, which will happen, you can just say those magic words. Does anyone know what they are? Act interested. Act interested, take the Fenton approach, and then just say, thanks for letting me know. It can make a big difference. Just say, thanks for letting me know. Nod your head. Just do that to your partner. Nod your head and say, thanks for letting me know. Go on, just do that. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, thanks for letting me know. Yeah. Thanks for letting me know. Thanks a lot for letting me know. Thanks for letting me know. Okay. Just tell the person next to you what that slide says. This is a bit of a mini quiz. Just tell the person next to you, what does it say? Have a quick read of it. Don't worry about the tick. What does that word, what does that say? Just tell them, yeah. What does it say? What does it say? Anyone? I've got a couple of... It only says one thing. Anyone? Anyone? Opportunity. There we go, Greg. There you go. No one saw anything else, did they? No. Opportunity is now here. Networking, it's all about opportunities. Lots of opportunities. Just before we come to events, which is the second thing that I'm going to look at. So we're looking a bit at the little things. Remembering names, asking good questions, listening. You might find that you want to become a better networker, form your own little group. So you're in GMV, which is great. I think some of you have your own group on the Sandbelt. Is that right? There are some of you? Yeah. I found, from my own experience, I formed a group with another, we got up to 5. We've got 4 in the group now. I formed a group with a bunch of guys a few years ago, and I think it's one of the best networking things I've ever done. The guys do similar work to me. Obviously, they're not as good as me, but they do their best. No, it's hard for them, you know. But but we get together, I reckon we probably get together 4 times a year now. And we just have a chat. It's like having my own board of directors. And one of the guys, Richard, I'm very friendly with. We speak a lot, probably about every 2 or 3 weeks. I'll ring him up. And we just talk about issues and challenges that we face. Not really much to do with family and that stuff. It's more work stuff. And he, like me, he's on the road a lot. So we get all sorts of things. Airport lounges, hire car companies, different hotels, client experiences. He understands my world and I understand his world. And I found that's been very, very useful. That relationship. One of the other guys, Andrew, is in the group. He MCs a lot of conferences, and he's always good to chat with about different ideas, small things. But I found having that small group works really well for me. If my group was too big, it just wouldn't work as well. And I think it's something for you to think about. If you were going to have your own smaller group, it could be with other GMs. They wouldn't necessarily have to be in the golf industry. It could be a GM from a yacht club, could be a GM from a football club. From my own experience, it would be people that you know, like and trust and respect, and it would take a bit of courage from you to try and get it off the ground, because that's how it would start. It wouldn't just happen. It would be you. You might have gone to school with them or something, but I can only comment on my own experience. I found that has been one of the best networking activities. And we didn't go into it to share clients, although that has happened a little bit. It's to assist each other. It's like having your own board of directors. That's called form your own group. Now, the one other little thing that I should do with you when we're looking at little things is, it's late in the day, but I should do a little quiz with you just to test your listening skills. Would I be able to ask you just to grab a pen and a piece of paper? This will be the last little test that you'll do. You did that one with Stuart. That was tricky, wasn't it? With the, what was the 3 letters you had to, what were they called? The anagrams or something? That was quite hard, wasn't it? I'm going to give you just a very small quiz. And the quiz is really a chance for you to assess your listening skills. I'm going to give you 8 questions. The conditions of this quiz are I can only read the questions out once. And all you need to do is write down your answer to each question. There's no conferring allowed. The average score is 4 out of 8 for this quiz. I've done it on and off over about the last 6 years. Occasionally you get someone who gets 7 or 8 out of 8. It means one of 2 things. They've either heard the questions before or they're very advanced with their listening. But it's pretty straightforward. Are you comfortable? You're good to go? That wasn't the first question. The first question's coming up now, unlucky. Question number 1. Do they have a 4th of July in England? Question 2. Some months have 31 days. How many have 28? Question 3. Divide 30 by half and add 10. What is the answer? Question 4. If there are 3 apples and you take away 2, how many do you have? Question 5, this is a farming question. A farmer has 17 sheep and all but 9 die. How many are left alive? Question 6, biblical question. How many animals of each sex did Moses take on the ark? Question 7, second last question. There is one word in the English language that is always pronounced incorrectly. What is it? And the final question, question 8. In this question, you're the bus driver. At the first stop, 16 people get on your bus. At the next stop, 4 people get on and 9 people get off. And at the next stop, 11 people get on and 1 person gets off. How old is the bus driver? Okay, are you okay to mark your own, guys? Are you comfortable marking your own? Good to go. Actually, let's make it like Survivor. Can I get you all up on your feet? Let's all stand up. And if you get one wrong, we can drop you down. Is that okay? And this is probably a good way to do it. We can see where the listening skills are in the room. Question number 1. Do they have a 4th of July in England? Yes. Did I lose anyone there? Okay, 1 down. That's all right. Give him a clap. Thanks very much. Okay, that's all right. Question 2. Some months have 31 days. How many have 28? Well, they all do. That's right. Anyone drop out there or a few have gone? Okay, yes, they all do. Question 3. I normally lose about half the group here. Although with a few of you with your accounting background, maybe you'll survive. Divide 30 by half and add 10. What is the answer? Well, there's only one answer. 25. 25. Divide 30 by half. Stuart, how many halves are in 30? The answer's 70. 70, sorry, the answer's 70. Did I say 25? Yeah, sorry. The answer, yeah. Sorry, the answer's 70. Most people put 25. Divide 30 by half, this is 60, and add 10, so the answer is 70. Question 4. If there are three apples and you take away 2, how many do you have? You've got 2. Okay, did I lose anyone there? Okay, can those that are left, can you come out the front? Anthony, can you come on down? Cameron, come on down. Simon, come on down here. Give them a round of applause. Ben, come on down. You're my survivors. The farming one, is that where we're up to? Farmer has 17 sheep, but all but 9 die. How many were left alive? 9. Boys are going well. How many animals of each sex, Ben, I'm going to ask you this question, did Moses take on the ark?
That was Noah's Ark.
It was Noah's Ark. So you two, thanks for playing, okay. So you two are left in. This could be the tiebreaker. And Cam, very good listening skills here.
Sorry?
You've got very good listening skills. I think you've surprised a lot of people in the room. Anthony, have I done this quiz with you before or not? Maybe. I reckon it. Yeah. No, you're going all right. You're tracking well. This could be the deal breaker, Cam. I'm going to ask you. There is one word, only one word in the English language that is always pronounced incorrectly. What is it? Incorrect. Oh, he's good. Give him a round of applause. Incorrectly. How else would you pronounce it? And the last one was, how old's that bus driver?
Me?
How old? 40. And that because the question was, I said, you're the bus driver, and a certain number of people get on. So give the boys a big round of applause. I've got some Milky Ways. I think I do. Hang on a second. Cam, had you heard any of those before? Or?
A couple was the first one.
There you go. Well done, Anthony. So did you know what to look for?
No, well, actually started off knowing that it's change it.
Anyone else? Any thoughts on it? It's a bit of a sneaky quiz, but any sort of takeaways from it? What do you think?
Well, you think you're a good listener until you get more.
Yeah. Focus. It's because it's a bit sneaky, the quiz. Imagine if I said to you in the real world, here, I'll give you $10,000 cash for every question you get answered correctly. What would you do after each question? What would you say to me before you lock it in? What would you say?
Repeat the question.
Yeah, can you repeat that, Steve? Can I just check? Did you say 3 apples you take? Can I just check? You'd be clarifying a lot, wouldn't you? I think, look, I've done that on and off over the years. I reckon it highlights how hard listening is. I think it's different meanings, different interpretations. If you can get better at that skill, it will definitely help you with your networking because you'll be more likely to remember key things on certain people. It'll definitely help you as a leader too if you can become a better listener. But it's not easy to do. I think listening is difficult. But I think that hopefully that little quiz just highlights some of the challenges we all face. A couple of other little things that I'll do with you before we go to our final presenter of the day. Oh, by the way, if you get sick of your president, you can always do that. Go and have a round with him. And there he is, Stuart. There's an idea for you. I've put that one in there for you. So go on, let's go out and play a few holes. I'll carry your bag for you. Speaking of caddies, there's a story that I heard last year about Raymond Floyd. You remember? Any of you remember Raymond Floyd? This story is from many years ago. He's playing, as far as I know, it's a true story. He was playing at Augusta, and in those days you couldn't take your own caddy. You were supplied a caddy by the caddy master. So Floyd says to the caddy master, all I want in a caddy is a big, strong boy who won't say a word. And later that day, he meets his caddy, and the caddy says, nice to meet you, Mr. Floyd. And Mr. Floyd says, nice to meet you, and that's the last I want to hear from you for the rest of the tournament. And all's going well until the 11th hole on the first day at Augusta, and Floyd sprays his drive into the pine straw up on the right side of the fairway, and he goes up to the area, he's surveying the area, having a look around, and he goes up to the ball, and he turns to the caddy, and he says, watch this, I'm going to fire a 3-wood through the gap in the trees and chase it up to the front of the green, roll it over the mound. Have a look at this. And sure enough, he goes like that, bang, and hits a beautiful ball. Turns to the caddy, he says, well, what did you think of that? The caddy says, that wasn't your ball. Thank you. Okay, let's think of the last couple of things for you guys that I wanted to share with you. Events. Let's just touch on it briefly. That's a little bit on, we just did listening. So when you look at going to events, you can, if you like to do the planning, you can think about what would you do before you went to an event, what would you do at an event, and are there a couple of things you could do after an event. Maybe just for a couple of minutes, have a brief chat. What would you do before you're going to an event? What are a couple of things? This could be an event at your golf club. It could be an event in your local town. What are a few things that you could do with your networking hat on before you go to an event? I'll just get you to focus on the beforehand. A couple of minutes, quick chat. A couple of things you could do beforehand. Okay, I'll take a few from you guys. Come on, you guys go to events. What would you do? A couple of things. Anyone kick me off? Open the bidding. Who's going to be there? So maybe check out if there's a list. Who's going to be at the event? So maybe review the list of who's going to be there. What else might you do, Peter?
Once you've done that, stalk them on the internet.
Do a bit of stalking. Yeah. Not bad, is it? You might not stalk everyone, but certain people that you're interested in meeting. So a little bit of stalking.
Create a priority list. who you might feel you have to, who you want to go and talk to.
I like that. Maybe draw up a target list, a top 10 or a top 5 people that you'd like to meet at that event. So it could be an information evening for prospective new members. It might be for some corporate partners. You might not have time to get around to meet everyone, but you may have 3 or 4 people that you really want to do your best to meet that night, so they could be on your target list. Anything else prior to going to an event? Ben, anything spring to mind for you? Or
I like that attire, making sure that you get the attire right for the evening to make it less awkward.
good thinking. What would be your guidance with attire? What do you tend to think?
Traditional definition.
Traditional, meaning?
Well, if it's black tie, it's black tie, bow tie, not skinny, slim tie.
Blue shoes, black tie.
So,
Yeah, that works with suit.
yeah, okay, so double check what the attire code is.
Yes, so it doesn't get awkward.
Yeah.
So you're not out of your comfort zone straight away.
Good point, good point. So maybe review that, double check that you're comfortable with that. Any final thoughts before you go to an event?
Confirm the details.
Confirm, yeah. Where is it? When does it start? I would suggest, if you can, if you want to improve your networking, arrive a bit earlier. It's no point in getting there late. If you can help set up, that can often help too, depending on the situation. Act like the host at an event. So get there, assist people, get involved. As you said, I'd have a plan. These days, are you taking business cards still to, some people would? Maybe make sure you've got enough cards. You might want to think about what's your exit plan too. What's your plan to get away from that event? Have you got something in mind? When you're actually at an event, in terms of breaking the ice, I've found over the years, depending the event, again, it's all to do with context, this is a really good 1, 2, 3. It's just a simple way of breaking the ice with new people. Just asking them initially what prompted them to come along. It's, in a way, it's why you're here, but it's a slightly nicer way of saying it. Ask them maybe what type of work do they do. A lot of people are comfortable with 1 and 2. I reckon 3 is where it opens up. That sounds interesting. How did you get into that type of work? So almost no matter what they say, go, wow, that sounds interesting. How do you get started in that type of work? Tell me a bit about your background, and you'll find most people will open up. So that I found that third question is very, very powerful. How did you get into the golf industry? How did you get into the motor industry? What got you started there? You might find as well, this is something I've noticed over the years, having worked with lots of different people, lawyers, accountants, people who work in technology, sometimes when they're introduced or they give introductions, they're quite boring. Like they actually are killing the conversation. Someone says, what do you do? They go, I'm an accountant. And it's kind of a bit flat. It's like, I'm a lawyer, and people run the other way. You might want to think about improving the introductions you use for yourself. So look, I was floating around with a few that I'm not saying you have to use them. There's 3 here. Take a moment to have a look at them and then see whether they'd work for you. I mean, they're just a few ideas to make your introductions a bit more interesting. I mean, again, you've got a copy of the slide. Could some of those, would you be able to adapt them or maybe tweak them? Or you might find that gets a conversation going a little bit more than I'm the general manager of the golf club. If you just add in a line where you might say, I'm the general manager of the golf club and we're currently working on a plan to attract female members. Have you got any thoughts on that? It might just get the conversation flowing a little bit more. So just thinking about it, again, it all depends on the environment. Just tweaking your intro might make a slight shift to getting the dialogue flowing. Now, there will be some times where you'll be at events and you'll meet people and you can't wait for them to leave. And I saw this quote, I thought it was very good, by Oscar Wilde. You might want to take a moment and have a look at that. We can all relate to that with probably some of the members at your clubs. And there is a word you can use. If you're getting stuck with people, there's one word you can use. You know where someone really bails you up? You know what? There's one word. Stuart, you'll probably use this tonight, so be careful. You really want to get away. They're going blah, 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 blah. You wait for the pause and then you apply this word. Anyway, I've got to go and check on the food and bev. It's a very strong word that can just get you out of a potentially tight situation. Anyway, just gives you a little bit of breathing space. The last thing I was going to touch on in this networking session, so we looked at a few ideas around some little things, a few thoughts when you're at an event. Just the other thought on events, I don't think you have to go around and meet everyone. I don't think that works. You might find a few people you connect well with. if you walk away with 4 or 5 fresh contacts, that could have been a very successful event for you. Flicking your card out everywhere, I'm not convinced on that. I don't think that really works so well. I'd rather go deeper than wider. If you do get the chance tonight, ask Stuart about his experience, and I'm being serious here, with Bill Clinton, about how to make people feel special when they meet you. I thought the story you shared with us last night when we were having a drink about Bill Clinton, the way he really made you feel special about that whole interaction, is something everyone can take maybe a little bit out of that. When you meet people, really try and engage with them and make the person that you're meeting feel special. And you'll do that with good active listening and nodding your head. So last little thing that I thought I'd look at with you is, I call it SIT, staying in touch. How do you stay in touch with your contacts? So you can build up a network through your schools, through your kids, different sporting groups, your golf club, business groups, through your university alumni. You can build up lots of contacts, but you need to stay in touch with them. And you need to think of different ways of doing this. Good networkers have a range of options. I use a newsletter. I've done it for about 6 years in our business. Every couple of months I send out a newsletter. I normally have a rant about something that's on my mind. There might be occasionally a short video, a little bit of information on some upcoming programs. We draft it up. Michaela, my wife, then hits send on the PC, and it goes out to about 2,000 people. I'm not bothered if most of them don't read it. People are busy, but it's just a little touch point. And I want to hopefully provide something in that newsletter that might be of some value to them. Maybe a tip on how to be a better coach, maybe a video, maybe a few ideas on how to improve your communication skills. But hopefully there's something in there for my audience that will be of some value. I don't want to use it as a sales tool because I don't think that's the right way. But so one of the skills is getting the names into the database. Then the other skill is obviously getting the newsletter out. In fact, Bonnie Doon does it. Most of you, do you guys do a weekly newsletter now? Most of the clubs? Can I see who does? So yeah, most of you do. Yeah, I think we get a weekly one at Bonnie Doon. I'm very impressed with it at the moment. And Justin Bradbury, our super, includes photos all the time of the work that's going on, and there's always plenty of work going on at our club. But I find it's a good way. I feel like I know what's going on. Even if I haven't played there for a month, I feel like I'm a bit up to date. It keeps me a bit engaged. I think the one I read last week, there's a bit of a blurb on what's happening on the Melbourne Cup Day. We've got a new menu in the bistro. I check if any of my mates have won a comp. It's a good, simple way for me to stay in touch. Now, I think Bill drove that, our GM who's leaving, so it'll be interesting to see whether, I think the new GM is Mitchell, or Murray. We'll see whether Murray continues. He might have a slightly different view on that. So yeah, find a way to stay in touch. You might use the phone to stay in touch with people. You might use LinkedIn. Who is on LinkedIn here? I've been on it for years. I've found a few little tips. Keep your bio up to date. Most people only update their bio when they're looking for a new job. And it's kind of like, I only hear from you when you want something. You all know people like that in your family. I bet you, do you know people like that? You don't hear from them for months and they ring you up. They either want to stay the night or they want to borrow something, or that's not good networking. We want to hear from you on a regular basis, not when you want something. So update your bio. You might put a fresh photo on there. Keep your contacts up to date. I think I'd get in the habit of posting a bit. Do you understand what I mean by posting? Putting, you can either put an article up there or you can put a little update. So you could write an article about this conference or things that you've seen, or you might see an article and you could put that article as a little, I could show you tonight, I could show you on my phone how to do it. It's not very hard, but it's a good way of developing your own reputation within the industry, building up a little bit of a profile. I found commenting on other people's posts is useful, just recognising them. I might say, thanks for sharing that, Ben. John, thanks for putting that up there. I saw a post this morning from Robin. He's at Pennant Hills. You guys know Robin at Pennant Hills? He put something up about, he didn't write it, he was forwarding it on, a little article on how golf enables you to live longer. It's a good way of staying healthy. I didn't comment, I just did the like. So I just click on a like, and it's just my way of indirectly saying to Robin, thanks for putting that out there. I reckon each week I'd put in a little bit of time. I wouldn't do too much, but I think in your own career you might want to think a bit about putting in some time each week into LinkedIn. It might be something to think about from this session. What's your plan for yourself as well as your club in the social media space. There may be people who can assist you with that. And in fact, Greg's going to talk more about this coming up in a few minutes with our final session today. A couple of final thoughts. I saw this and I thought it's quite a good slide. There you go. Think about, in wrapping this up, keep thinking about what is your own networking plan. What are the things that you could do more of that might make a big difference? And I talk often about your circles of influence. So this is you having a bit of time to reflect. What are you doing with your voluntary work? Whether that's with your school or your club. I do some stuff with The Big Issue. You might see people on the street selling The Big Issue. I get a lot back from doing that emotionally. It's terrific. The golf club is complex for you because it's where you work. Your spirituality, are you networking through your kids? Are you involved in different associations or sporting clubs? Get involved. I guess that's the big message I'm saying. If you're only in one little channel, it will be hard for you to become a better networker. Look for things that you want to get involved in and then get your hands a little bit dirty in that space. So in closing off this session, I'm happy to take a couple of questions. I am conscious of time. Just think about what could I do a bit more of in the networking space, and maybe what could I do a little bit less of. It is a skill. It's like juggling. You can learn it. It does help if you're a bit like Bill Clinton and you're naturally charismatic. It's probably easier to be a good networker. But even if you are more reserved and shy and you're accurate and analytical and you're from an accounting background, you can still be a very good networker because you have a plan and then you just work that plan. In fact, Woody Allen said it. He said 80% of life's just turning up. It's a great quote, isn't it? 80% of life's just turning up. If you turn up at enough events, show up, keep your head up and smile, things will happen. If you sit behind your desk reading documents and drafting up emails and complaining to people how busy you are, you won't become as good a networker. I mean, that's the great thing about these events, isn't it? You just meet a lot of people. That's my time with you guys. So is there anything that's on your mind that you wanted to ask before we take our last little break and then go to Greg, who's going to get into the world of social media, is that right? And marketing. Anything particular? It's 4:30 now. Can I say, just before Ben jumps up, I want to say thanks, John. Can I thank you, a handshake, for giving me the chance to come and do some work with you guys down here and for turning on the weather yesterday. I don't like playing in still conditions. It's too easy. I said to John, I need 100 kilometres, high winds. I've still got 30% of the bunkers in my ears. It's great. And it was I found it was quite easy yesterday, so, you know. But no, thanks for the chance to come down and do some work with you guys. And I'm looking forward to hopefully playing tomorrow. Does the weather look okay? Or
Ben promises everything.
Fine. 70 kilometre hours and thunderstorms or... Okay, 60's mild. 60's mild. We won't have to hit driver on the 130 metre par 3. And also, Ben, I want to thank you for giving me the chance to come down here and get involved with Eastern and for making me feel so welcome. But really, I want to thank all of you guys. Like, you guys make the conference. Thanks for introducing yourself to me. I'll see you around tonight. Hopefully I'll play some golf with some of you tomorrow. And I hope, I just spoke about it, stay in touch. I really hope that I can stay in touch with you, build stronger relationships with you, maybe assist you in some small way in the future. It'd be great. So that's enough from me, Ben. Thanks very much.